Hey everybody, welcome back to Stud Pack. In our previous video, you saw Jordan and I frame this 2x6 treated subfloor over this slab where the original 2 bathrooms were. We got all our new piping routed, moved the electric, and moved the water lines, and we are almost ready for our subfloor. Now I have a toilet over here, a couple of vanities right here, and then in this video, we're gonna frame up the shower that's right here, and it's gonna be a curbless recessed shower. But in our previous video, we had a bunch of awesome comments. Most of them were about the fact that this pipe is sitting down here on this hardware, and y'all were afraid it was gonna poke a hole in it. So Jordan got the saw out, cut a little treated block, and glued it to the slab, and now that's the pitch block for this drain. It's not sitting on here anymore. But before we finish our framing, we thought we'd have a little fun and put a water hose in our fittings over here by the toilet and over here by the vanity and show you just how great our water flow is. So let's grab the hose, the camera, and dive in. All right, I've got the hose stuck in where the toilet's gonna drain, and you can see that the water is flowing really well into that quarter double bend into our main line. Now let's do one of the lab drains that are going into that double wide, Jordan. That's real good flow, man. How's that look?
Good.
Nice. What a great shot. What a great shot that was. You don't often get to see water flowing inside a pipe, but it was a confirmation to us that we got great fall here and from our 2 labs. Now that we know all our plumbing is working well, it's time to cover it up. But before we do that, there are 2 issues that we have to fix, and it's now or never. So problem number 1 has to do with these L brackets we attached to our 2x6s. A lot of you mentioned we didn't put an anchor right there. We didn't do it because we can't swing our hammer and drive this pin on this drive pin anchor. We were hitting the hardware right here in these bolt heads. These have worked well for us in the past, but in this application, they didn't do so great. And right here, you can even see that one didn't go down all the way. So I picked up some 1/4" Tapcons with a hex drive. We're gonna drill a hole here and drive a Tapcon in that hole on all the brackets. Let's get the rotary hammer and get going. All right, that only took a couple of minutes. Now, we drove these with an impact wrench. In my experience, an impact wrench will strip these. We made sure we stopped as soon as this thing hit the plate, and we're nice and tight. All right, bud, let's grab the planer and go to our next step. All right, issue number 2 with this subfloor, we crowned all these joists. In other words, these 2x6s aren't straight. They got a little crown to them. So we always put the crown up, knowing that the floor is gonna push it down. Well, our floor won't push down anymore, right? Because we have the brackets and the shims. And this one in particular is really high, like 3/16. So I brought my planer, and we're gonna plane this one off. We've got the laser set up, and it's skimming across the top of all these, and you can see it's hitting the side of this one. So the laser's gonna be our guide, just like we always use it. And then as a final check, I brought my 8-foot Festool track saw guide, and we're gonna lay it across there and make sure this thing is perfectly flat. Then we can put our subfloor down. All right, check that out, gang. Got a 9-foot straight edge, and I'm really not moving at all. I'm tight on this one, I'm tight on this one. This one's down a little bit, but we're within an 1/8, I'd say less than an 1/8, a 16th, Jordan. So I'm good to go with that. It's time to put down the subfloor. I'm gonna get Jordan set up, getting that ready to go, and I'm gonna get the vacuum and vacuum up all this sawdust so it's not critter food. Yeah.
Three out, 3x5, 2 1/4 by 17. 3x5, 2 1/4 by 17. Okay, I'm dropping in 3, 2. put it in a bad spot.
You better hurry, dude. It's coming. All right, subfloor is in, and Jordan and I are super excited. It is perfectly flat, and it is very, very strong with zero deflection. And that's what we want, because we're gonna put tile on here. Now, yes, we went overkill on this, but that's how stud pack usually works. And it's just like these Camaros over here, right? Sometimes you don't need 750 horsepower, but when you want it, you got it. And if my friend decides to wheel a heavy part into the shower to wash it off, this floor is gonna hold up whatever abuse he can put on it. So our next step is to actually do the same process right here in the shower, but it's gonna be lower because we want a zero entry shower, no curb. That way when my buddy's old and in a wheelchair, his wife can just roll him in and hose him off. So let's check it out first. Before we can start framing, we have a little bit more concrete work to do. This piece of 2-inch is tied into our double Y here, just dry fit, not glued yet. And we're gonna put a Y in it. The Y is gonna pick up the shower drain, and this is our vent. It's gonna tie into the 3-inch vent, which is actually, it's leaking water, right? We thought the roof was leaking, but it's the vent. We got a 3-inch vent up there, rain's coming in there, coming out right there.
Cooling us off.
Yeah, I thought I was going to call my friend and say, you got a leak in your roof, but it's just the vent pipe. So check this out. Here's our trap, and X marks the spot. How did we get that? This line is simply centered between our two side walls. And this line is the center off of this wall. How did we get that? This mark is 3.5 inches. That's our 2x4 framing, 1/2 inch of backer board. We're using a ledger stone, so we went pretty thick. And this line represents our finished wall. Now the linear drain is 4 7/8 wide. The body of it is. So this is the center of that dimension. And that's where we want the drain to be. But you can see we're too high. So this dotted line around here, that's where we're gonna chip it out. So you know what that means. Our circular saw with a diamond blade, a bottle of water with a hole in the cap, our demolition hammer, and some rock and roll. Are we there yet? All right, there we go. We got our little excavation done here, so our P-trap sits well below our slab. We even went ahead and glued up the pipe, at least to here. All that's glued. This is not yet, and we're gonna show you why later. And we cut these pitch blocks, so this is well supported, and we have just enough fall into our drain over here by where Jordan's sitting. So our next step is to attach our ledgers around the perimeter. Just like the ledgers we attach to the walls for this subfloor under the bathroom, we're gonna do a mini version of that under the shower. The top of this fitting and the top of this fitting are level with each other. We check that with our laser. So we want our framing to be at the top of this fitting plus a little bit more, and we're gonna put our subfloor down, something like this. And I say plus a little bit more because we don't want this sitting on our fittings, right? So there's our subfloor of our shower. And if I get my tape measure, we're at 3 1/4 below the laser line. And if I come over here by Jordan, the laser is 1 3/4 off the deck here. So that means this piece of subfloor is 1.5 inches lower than the main bathroom. And that's perfect for us. It's gonna give revolutionary showers plenty of room to make a custom foam pan for us that's got a 1/4 inch slope here, from that wall to the drain, and from the wall behind me to the drain. So I say our next step, Jordan, we're gonna get our 2x4 treated ledgers and we're gonna bolt them to the wall there, here, and behind me. We'll put it on this one. That's all gonna be level, just like we set up this side level with our laser in that block, remember? Get it perfectly dialed in, and then we'll fill in between with some framing, and we're ready for our subfloor. You ready to do this, bud?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Fighting us today.
Yeah.
I don't have my truck.
That's where all your batteries are?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, those anchors aren't working, bud.
They suck.
They do.
That cinder block is really brittle. I tried to adjust it right there, and when I adjusted it, it broke out the cinder block like a big crater. And the Tapcons don't work very well, and those anchors that we were using earlier aren't working either.
So, but the one behind me is great, right?
Really good.
All right.
And this one will be easy because it's wood to wood.
Yeah.
So it's really just these two.
Just take that off. We can reuse this guy on this side, so we don't waste it. Do that side. And then on these two, I say we just get the 2x6s,
And rip them.
rip them to the taper, whatever we got to do, and set them on the slab.
Yeah. I like that. If we measure over in that corner and then measure over in that corner, rip it with the track saw, the table saw, give ourselves like an 1/8 of an inch adjustment for some type of glue, sealant, or maybe some shims.
Yep.
We only have to measure twice, rip it once, and set it down, and it should be good. We could be done already.
Yep. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, guys, this 2x4 framing is really fighting us. The 2x6 was a lot easier because it's wider, right? But we don't have as much wood to work with here. The anchors aren't working, so we're just gonna regroup. We're gonna pull all this out and put a 2x6 here. We have treated 2x6s. We're gonna rip it according to the dimension that we need. We can measure off our laser here, measure off our laser there, make a tapered cut, straight cut, whatever it needs to be so that it's perfectly flat on top. And then we're just gonna go from there, bud. You ready? All right, let's do it. Hey, Jordan, you want to pull me a measurement off that laser line? I'll cut the board for you.
We don't have any batteries in the laser, man. It's dead.
All right, let's head to the store. Swing and a miss. All right, gang, finally got some batteries. AutoZone came in clutch. 2 trips to get those. What, dude? The California plates? That's a rental. You know my truck's in the shop. The guy at the store was giving us a hard time about this car, wasn't he? I felt like we're being judged every time we get into this car today.
Yep.
The guy at the store, he walked out and said, California, huh? You guys lost? I said, no, dude, it's a rental. He just kept right on walking to his truck.
I hope he watches this.
I hope he does.
He probably doesn't even know what YouTube is.
He's the kind of guy that gets on videos and just makes a negative comment to anybody.
You can't say that, Dad.
Cool, we got a 2x6 on the back wall, tapered to cut, and a 2x6 on the side wall, tapered to cut. When I say tapered to cut, I mean the top of it is perfectly flat. You can see the laser beam just kissing the edge of it, and the other half of the laser beam's kissing the wall. So that is perfect, just where we want it. So the bottom is scribed to the floor, basically. Now, we did put some adhesive under here and some shims just to dial it in perfectly, and that worked great for us. Unfortunately, it took us half the day to figure that out. This was our plan going in. And this worked great over here because we have a solid concrete curb and those wedge anchors work great. But this cinder block just fought us all day long. We tried those anchors, we tried the Tapcons, neither one worked. And my whole day today, I felt like I was taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back all day long. I think part of it is because my truck is in the shop and I'm not without half of my equipment. That's how it goes sometimes. This is like a real world job site, right? It's filled with success, like we had great success yesterday on this subfloor, but then failure today on here, on the shower subfloor. But the good part is, now that we know what we have to do, I'm confident we can get this framed in probably less than an hour, right, Jordan?
Absolutely.
Zip this one in, drop in all these pieces, and put in our subfloor. Can't wait. And then, once the subfloor's in, we can measure for our custom-shaped foam shower pan. So what do you say, Jordan? Let's clean up, get out of here. We'll chalk today up, not quite as a loss, right? But maybe a what?
No, it's a loss.
It's a loss?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, but we're gonna make it up tomorrow because I know we can fly, and then we can start building these walls. All right, let's clean up, get out of here, go home, shower, get some rest. We'll be back here bright and early tomorrow morning. It is bright and early the next day, and Jordan and I are ready to go, and we're excited about finishing this floor because we have a game plan today that's gonna work. Not like yesterday where it was a big L, right? And we were taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I was laying in bed last night thinking about why didn't those Tapcons work? So this morning I went and bought some new Tapcons. Now check this out. These are both 1/4 inch Tapcons. They both take a 3/16 pilot bit, but check out the difference in the threads. Can you see that, Jordan? This one has teeth or serrations in all the threads, but this one only has teeth or serrations in the starter threads. So I think this longer screw is the answer, and then the other answer is our drill and how we were using it. And I knew this, it's just one of those things I forgot. This is our good old Bosch Bulldog, and it has 3 functions. It can drill only, It can hammer and drill at the same time, or it can just hammer. You can put a chisel on there and hammer. I've never used that. 99% of the time, I'm right there in that setting, and that's the setting we used yesterday. But for these Tapcons, especially these little ones that take a 3/16 hole, what I think was happening was, in hammer mode, it's making the hole too big. The percussion action of the bit is making the diameter of the hole too big, and then when you blow through the backside, it's blowing out the cinder block. Let me drill 2 holes right here for you. I'm gonna do one in drill mode and one in hammer drill mode. The first one will be drill mode only. It's a good sharp bit, check it out. All right, I went all the way through the block, probably what, 1 inch thick, Jordan? Now let's put it in hammer mode. Check out the difference. It's gonna be much faster, but what's happening on the backside, of course, we can't see it, but you'll get a feel for it. See how quickly I went through? I mean, you can almost see that that's a bigger diameter than that one. And I know it blew out the backside of the block just on how fast it went through. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get our drill only mode, and we're gonna fasten our sleepers to the wall with these longer flathead Tapcons.
And we know this worked because we tested it over here.
We did. Check it out. We sure did test it. We had a scrap 2x4. There's a flathead. There's the hex head. They both grab, and that's not moving at all. So if you're having trouble with your Tapcon stripping out, just put your drill in drill only mode and see if that fixes the problem that you're having. But for us, we're gonna use that technique and attach our sleepers permanently to this cinder block wall with these 3-inch Tapcons. Then we can lay the rest and put down our subfloor. So easy. All 4 of our perimeter ledges are in place. They're bolted, screwed, glued, and shimmed, and they're absolutely solid and absolutely perfectly flat. Check it out on our laser beam. And because we fought it all day yesterday, today we can spread our wings and fly. Let's show you the game plan. We don't even need the laser anymore. Let's shut this off, put it back in its case, and pull a measurement. 45 and 1/16. Now let's head out to the saw and make our cut. All right, here's the big payoff. Let's head inside. Nice snug fit. Now all I need is a pencil. I'm gonna use the top of my ledger as a reference and put a pencil mark right there and one on the other side. Now all we gotta do is connect the dots and make our cut. All right, let's see how she fits. Cool, man, nice and strong and super easy. We'll put a few toe screws into here and we'll finish this floor. Let's get it done. All right, check this out. We have these stacked on the saw, and you can see they're different. We got a little stair step going on this direction, but check out the other end. Now we have a stair step going the other way, and that's how different our slab is. Perfect 4 o'clock afternoon thunderstorm. You can set your watch by these things, but it really cools it off over here in Louisiana. Nice, bud.
Let's go.
Woo. That was a job, but perfectly level. Perfectly flat, ready for our subfloor. Nice, dude. With that final screw, our subfloor framing is complete, 100%. And this thing is perfectly flat, it's perfectly level. You can check out the bubble on our level right here. And it is super, uber strong. Now you can kind of see right here in the middle, we did some angle blocks just so we didn't have to put a big notch in it like we did in this one for our drain. but we got plenty of support for our plywood deck. And this was quite a challenge, right, Jordan? We had anchor bolts here into the concrete curb. We had tapcons into the block behind me and to my left. We're sitting on this terribly unflat concrete slab, which we flattened by taper cutting our 2x6s. These are all screwed together and glued down to the floor. And you can even see we got all kind of numbers here. 35, 16, 19, 27. That tells us where all this blocking is, where to put screws, and where not to put screws. So we began the video putting down that plywood subfloor. I say we end the video by putting down the subfloor under the shower. Let's get the saw, chop up some plywood, screw it, glue it down, and get this project on its way to a final awesome shower. That blade won't work. And 3/8.
Yep.
Great job today, everybody. The subfloor is finally finished, and Jordan and I couldn't be more excited. And this thing is super strong, like we said before. I don't even know if I'm walking on concrete slab or a wood subfloor. And there was a lot of thought and a lot of labor that went into this, Jordan. I think this was the most labor intensive and brain power intensive part of the project, wouldn't you say?
For sure.
Yeah, we had to do all the math on the drain lines, on all the framing, taper it so it's flat. But from here on out, to me, it's going to be a piece of cake. Walls, easy. Ceiling, easy. Rough electric, rough plumbing. We're going to throw some insulation in here, and we're on to our finishes. I can't wait to see how awesome this bathroom is going to turn out. So we're going to wrap up the video right here. And Jordan, I really appreciate all the support you've been giving to our channel lately. It means the world to us. So make sure your like button is good and solid. Make yourself some tapered 2x6 sleepers if you have to. Smash it for us. Give us some of your awesome comments. Ask a question. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you on our next Stud Pack video.